Hi, I'm Mindy with Henlia Handmade. Welcome to our knitting chair chat. So today I wanted to record one last video about Anona, my new hat pattern, because I realized that as a new knitwear designer, you may want to have a little more information about what you're getting with a pattern from me. So if you are new to my knitting community or yarn community, you may not know my dedication to quality. So from the very start of Henlia Handmade, I have put quality at the forefront of everything that I do, to my own detriment on occasion. But just like when you are buying Henlia Handmade yarn, you are getting my whole heart and soul. I I kind of joke about how I'm an all or nothing type of person, which again, there's work there's work to be done there. But when I go in on something, I go all in. I really try hard not to fudge things or I guess I'm just trying to say that I'm very committed to making sure that the products that I put out there that have my name on them, Henlia Handmade's name on them, are never going to be a disappointment. So I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk more about the Anona hat pattern because I realized that last week when I recorded that video, I think I missed something, and I think I missed something pretty important. I missed kind of a walkthrough of what a quality knitting pattern looks like, at least to me. So I went ahead and I printed out a copy of my pattern, and I want to just walk you through it and show you what is involved and what I guess sort of a visual representation and a verbal representation of the quality that you're getting from me. So especially with this being my first official knitwear pattern, I just want you to be comfortable. I want you to be comfortable with spending your hard-earned dollars, and you know, I want you to know what to expect. So here we go. Here is the cover of my pattern, and you know, notice this is the same hat. The ink color is, you know, not perfect, so it doesn't match exactly. But this is my sample hat that I knit for the cover of my pattern. This is a 17-page pattern. However, for those of you who are going, oh, I have to print 17 pages. No, you don't. And I'll show you as we go along why that is. So obviously the cover is not something that you would need to print. But I like to have, you know, a nice big picture of what the pattern is going to look like. And then on the back of the cover page, or I like to print my pages on both sides just to save paper. But this is another page that you definitely would never have to print out. And this is my inspiration page. I gave you just a little paragraph about what inspired this hat pattern to begin with. And this is, if you have been around these last few weeks as I've been sharing about my pattern, you'll know that this hat was inspired by my family's annual trip to the pumpkin patch, and how I just wanted to really celebrate that annual family event because it's something that's so special and near and dear to my heart. And I know that as my children start getting older, the thrill isn't going to be there as much for them. So I find this a beautiful way to just kind of honor these memories that I have that I love so much, and share them, be able to share them with you too. So I probably should have stapled my pattern together, but I wanted to be able to show you each page individually. So I feel like there are some very important parts of a quality knitting pattern. One of them is good photos that show every part of every angle, every part of a pattern, so that you know exactly what to expect. Exactly, there's no hidden parts that may not look as nice, or I just want you to be able to see all of it. So there are a few more pictures in the pattern, but again, I try to place the photos in places where it's not critical for you, at least the big pictures. It's not critical for you to print them and use a lot of color. And of course, ink. And of course, you can always just print in black and white to save your color ink cartridges, because I know those are really, the color cartridges are really precious. So, okay, so having some good quality photography and, sort of the inspiration for a pattern, I think that's important. I think that's important because I think it helps connect you with the pattern that you're committing to knit. This is valuable time of yours that you spend knitting, and I think having a little blip about the inspiration of the pattern to help connect you to it is just an extra beautiful way to honor and appreciate your knitting time. So my next page is the pattern information page, and on that pattern includes the yarn information that I used, the needles, all the needles that you will need to make this pattern, your gauge, also important, the different sizes and ease, which pattern or which size the sample is knit in, so you know, okay, I'm an adult woman and I knit the adult medium. This is how it fits on me. It comes all the way down over my ears, and so you know exactly an example of how this size may fit on you. I didn't include this on the pattern, but I do kind of have a small head and I don't have very much hair, so take that for what it is. And then the last little bit on the pattern includes the other notions that you might need, things like stitch markers, an optional cable needle, an optional row counter, that type of, those types of details. And I think all of this pattern information is included in both the Ravelry listing as well as the listing on my website if you prefer to buy your patterns off of Ravelry. So the back side of this page just includes some, I'll just give you a little quick view. Notes and abbreviations. So I include some important notes about cast-ons and cable needles and links to video tutorials for those, some other little tips, and then all of the abbreviations for the knit stitches, or all the abbreviations that I use in the pattern, not just the knit stitches, but so that you have that to refer to. And then a schematic showing the sizes and the measurements for each size, because this is a 6 size pattern. There are a lot of different measurements you might want to be aware of if you're making multiple sizes. So again, this page is probably not a critical one to print out unless you really need these abbreviations. And of course the pattern information page really isn't something that you would need to print out either. Once you've chosen your size, you can just go through the pattern and highlight the information that corresponds to the size that you're making. So you don't need to print out this page either. But this next page is an important one. It's the pattern, it's the pattern stitches, and it includes what the cable stitches are and what the cable stitch pattern is, or the pattern stitch, the repeating pattern stitch, as well as a chart for it. So this page I probably would print out if you are a pattern printer. I know I used to almost exclusively use my phone and just read my patterns digitally. However, I mostly have stopped doing that because I don't like being so tied to my phone all the time, and plus it wears my battery down really quickly. I don't tend to update my technology very often, so my current phone is quite old. It wasn't a new model when I purchased it in 2018, so my battery is on its way out, so saving battery power is precious to me, and it might be to you too. If I had a tablet, maybe I would be more inclined to read my patterns on tablets and not print out my patterns, which of course would save paper and ink. You know, those types of things are important to me as well as many of you as well. So, okay, so those are the pattern stitches, and then you get the directions, the actual directions. So again, this would be a page that you would probably want to print out if you like to print your patterns. And it does give directions for all the different sizes to get started with the cast on, the ribbing, and then any setup row you might need to do. There's a couple a couple sizes that you have to adjust the stitch count for to switch from the ribbing to the pattern, and so it includes that information, as well as the finishing information. So this is kind of gets you started. It tells you where to go in the pattern to do the bulk of the knitting, and then it also includes the finishing information. So this basically gets you started and finishes you, and then once you get started, you can just flip to whatever size hat you're making. The next part of the pattern is the actual size information, or the directions for each individual size. So I start smallest and go largest. It's all in order there. So baby is first, and I include the overall instructions on how to work the work the pattern stitch chart, how many times to work that, and then also the decrease rounds. So the decrease rounds are going to be the part that is most different from size to size. So I include both written instructions as well as a chart for each size. So there's baby, there's toddler, there's child, there's adult small. With the adult small, that's where I had to put the chart on a separate page because of the way the decreases are done. It's the chart is big. I didn't want to shrink the chart really small and try to cram it at the bottom of this page, so I rotated it landscape-wise on the paper so that it was easier to read. So for the adult small, you would want to print this page and this page so that you had them both because they're both important parts of your instructions. The adult medium does actually fit completely on one page. And again, it has the overall instructions, it has to work the body of the hat, and then it also has written and charted instructions for the crown. And then lastly, we have the adult large, which again ran onto 2 pages just because it's more stitches and more knitting for a larger hat. And of course I include a key with each chart as well. That's important. More important parts of a knitting pattern include instructions for how to get started, how to work your specific size, and then of course the decreases. And I recognize that some knitters love charts, some knitters love written instructions, and some knitters like to have both to kind of compare their work. Maybe they work from the chart, but there's maybe a little question. This is what happens to me sometimes when I'm reading a chart and I'm maybe a little bit uncertain about something, then I may refer back to the written instructions and kind of read it through and be like, okay, yes, I know it, I understand what's happening here, and this is kind of my double checking my work. So along with important parts of a knitting pattern, I also like to include written instructions for any special cast-ons. So in this hat, I recommend the 2x2 tubular cast-on in the round. There are lots of options. You could even just use long tail cast-on for this hat. It doesn't have to be the 2x2 tubular cast-on in the round. However, if you wanted to use that cast-on, I linked a video tutorial, but I also wrote out instructions for you so that maybe you could go and watch the video tutorial a few times, and then have the written instructions to refer back to kind of help you along as you're doing it yourself. And then I also include a sheet about me, about my inspiration for Henley Handmade and my knitting patterns in yarn, and then of course some information as to how you can get more help from me, as well as sharing with me on social media so that I can see your beautiful knitting. I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram, and the hate part comes from, I love it because I love being able to see made up knitting patterns and see my yarn knit up in beautiful patterns. But the hate part is that because of the way Instagram is designed, I just don't get to see everything that people post unless you tag me. So please, please, please tag me, and tag Henley a Handmade, and so then that way I'm far more likely to see your posts. I'm not on Instagram daily anymore because I found that I was spending too much time on it. But I do try to check in about once a month. So, once a week. I try to check in at least once a week just to kind of make sure that I'm staying on top of anything that might need my attention. So, and then the last page I include another photo. This just happens to be the photo of the back of the hat, or a view from the back of the hat, which is kind of a beautiful nice way to end a pattern. That was page 17. Again, of course, not something you would have to print. The About the Designer page, definitely don't need to print that. You may want to print the tubular cast-on instructions if you are new to that, or if you prefer to have those words right in front of you. That might be what you would want to do. But I do really recommend watching the tutorial because I think the tutorial really, really helps. So, so just to kind of sum up, I think if this was a pattern that I was knitting, that I was new to, I would print out just the pattern stitches and the directions. And then I would skip on to whatever size hat I was going to knit. Let's give it, I'm gonna use the adult medium since the sample is an adult medium and that's what I'm wearing today. I would print this page, so that's 3 pages so far. If I was new to the cast on, you know what, I don't think I would ever, personally I don't think I would print the written instructions for a cast on, just because it's something that I would do once to start my pattern and I wouldn't have to refer back to it again after I have my pattern started. So in this case, I probably would use my computer or my phone and just use this, have this pulled up so that it would help guide me through the cast on process, and then I wouldn't have to worry about it again. So I probably wouldn't print that page. So and then of course I wouldn't print this page, I wouldn't print this page. So really I would just print 3 pages. If I was printing a size like the adult small or the adult large, where the instructions and the decreases required the chart on an additional page, then I would print those pages, that page as well, obviously. So that would be 4 pages printed, but if I was just printing any of the other sizes, I would only need to print 3 pages. So while it sounds like a really huge pattern at 17 pages, and I do try to answer all of your questions right in the pattern or with video tutorials, I really tried hard to get everything, all the details in there so that it would be just an easy to follow, easy to knit pattern for you. That was my goal. That was my goal. So I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough of a Nona. It did require many hours of effort, not only knitting and designing, but also actually writing the pattern. I know that it's a unique skill set, and I didn't realize how unique it would be until I actually started knitting it myself, or writing it up myself. A funny thing happens when you are a fairly prolific knitter, or at least have been knitting for a long time and have read a lot of knitting patterns. It seems like it should be just second nature to translate what you knit into written form and into visual form. But it actually is time consuming, and it's a very different skill set. So, and it's been fun to learn something new like that. So just a word of caution if you are considering jumping into knitwear design yourself. I totally encourage it. It's so much fun. But just know that there's going to be a learning curve in translating those stitches into a written form in the form of a pattern for other knitters to be able to understand and easily read. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. I really just wanted to show you the quality that you get when you purchase a pattern from me, and also kind of give you tips as to what really makes a good knitwear pattern if you are thinking about designing your own patterns as well. So it's fun stuff. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, would you please hit the notification bell and subscribe and like the video. It really helps my little channel grow and more knitters to find my videos on the big, huge, giant world of YouTube. But thank you. Thank you for being here, and if you have any questions, please do leave your questions in the comments below, and I will try to get back to you. And of course, I will link my pattern and my shop in the video description as well. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.